I'm calling the meeting to order. We are actually reconvening from November 10th, so I think we are going to save, according to the agenda, our pledge and roll call for, well, we should probably at least do roll call, right? Yes, let's do roll call, but we'll save the pledge for our new mayor. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilperson Bentley?
Yes.
Bruns?
Yes.
Flynn?
Here.
Morrison?
Here.
Soha?
Present.
Stuchel?
Here.
Wolfram?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bellon?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to our one item of business, which is the oath of office for our new mayor, Scott Sessions. I believe clerk is going to administer. Yes, okay, thank you.
I solemnly swear that I'll support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of mayor of the city of Hillsdale to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Well, hello everyone. I guess we gotta go into public comment on non-agenda items only from the November 10th meeting. Also, there are 2 more opportunities for the public to speak tonight. So the podium is now open.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. Any more public comment? If not, then I will go ahead and close the public comment, and do I have can I entertain a motion to adjourn the November 10th meeting? Support. I have a motion by Councilman William Morrissey, and who seconded it? Right. Councilman Soha seconded. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has it, so November 10th meeting is now closed. Now I will call to order, and for the pledge of allegiance, would everybody stand for the pledge of allegiance of the United States?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's City Council meeting of November 17th, 2025, the Hillsdale City Council meeting. May I have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price.
Yes. Councilperson Bruns?
Here.
Flynn?
Still here.
Morrissey?
Here.
Soha?
Present.
Stuchel?
Here.
Wolfram?
Here.
Mayor Scott Sessions?
Here.
and Councilperson Bentley.
Here.
All present.
All right, thank you.
Mr.
I'm
Calvino.
sorry.
Good.
Josh, present?
Here.
Okay, thanks. I'm present.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go into the approval of tonight's agenda. Does anyone have any changes to make to the agenda? Yes.
We reappointed Felicia Finch to a second full term on December 16th, 2024, according to the minutes that I have. Motion by member Soha, seconded by Stuchel to approve reappointment of Mary Margaret Spiteri, Felicia Finch, and Margaret Brahman to the TIFA board. And she was first appointed in 2020, 21, so I think she already has her second full term, unless I'm making a mistake.
City Manager Mackey?
Yes, I'd like to have Mr. Fry come up. He has some information on that. John, Mayor Pro Tem, if you remember, we had that issue with the liquor license, and she had to resign her position
Oh.
in order to be considered for it, so I'll let Sam explain.
Oh, okay, it said resignation, reappointment, I thought that was from an earlier, oh, thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, as Dave said, so she was reappointed to the start of her second term due to TIFA having to get the liquor license transferred back from CL Real Estate. She couldn't serve on the TIFA board because she has an interest in a manufacturer's license. And so she had to step down for TIFA to do that. And so it was, the liquor attorney, their opinion was she had to step down while the license was being transferred. Once it was received in the possession of TIFA, she could, basically apply to resume her seat on the board. And so that was her intention. She talked with Chair Gelser from TIFA about that. And so this would be basically a partial term replacement for her to resume her seat.
Okay, oh, interesting, she couldn't just recuse herself. Okay, nothing further.
Okay, so do I have an approval for the agenda? May I entertain a motion? Support. I have a motion by Councilman Morrissey and supported by Councilman Soha. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we have an agenda. We open up the public comment on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please tell us your name and your address. The podium is now open.
Jonathan McEllen from Ward 3 on South Street. Wanted to just speak very briefly. I looked over the agenda to the fair committee. I really appreciate the work that went into this. I'm assuming it was Mayor Sessions that kind of put together the idea to reconvene this committee, which is, I really appreciate. One of the things that I came and spoke a little bit about in the last city council meeting was the impact of potential new state funding sources on special assessments, and I noticed that was mentioned in the packet, so I really appreciate that. And I think I really appreciate the purpose too, in thinking how to alleviate the financial burden on Hillsdale citizens and figure out the best way forward to funding infrastructure improvements. I did want to note a couple of things. I just had a couple ideas just based on what I saw. I was curious that there are 13 city government representatives on the fair committee. There's a designated representative of Hillsdale College, of Hillsdale Community Schools, and of Hillsdale Hospital, all of which I think are, the college and the hospital are both nonprofits, and the community schools don't have to pay special assessments either. So I was kind of curious about that, particularly when put in balance of there are only 5 members of the general public that are included on the fair committee. I was curious if there's a possibility of increasing that number. I'd love to participate. I'm sure I could probably find a dozen other folks around town that are concerned about the way that the policy and the way that we're dealing with paying for infrastructure. I'm sure there'd be a lot of interest. I got the letter from the city, I don't know when this was, it was about a month ago, with some boards and committees that you have opportunities to serve on. I'm sure if this had been listed, if this were something that the public were more aware of, I bet there'd be a lot of interest in how do we solicit more public interest and participation in things like this. So that's one thing I was thinking about, and particularly could you think about both people who've been in past assessment districts as well as potential future districts. Like, is that something that could be considered in terms of who you would bring in from the general public? And then just a couple things. I think one of the aspects of fairness that I think is really important to think about is not just, how are you fair to the residents that have already paid a special assessment, but also, like, how can you craft your policy to attract more people to live and work in the city of Hillsdale? Because if you have somebody, who's from living in Jackson or Spring Arbor or something like that, with Adrian, and they're thinking about moving here, but then they hear like, well, you might have to pay a special assessment because we're trying to, to get your road fixed, because we're trying to be fair to the people who paid them 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, even though the city has potentially enough money to fix the roads without it, then you might shrug your shoulders and say, I'll live in the township, I'll live somewhere else, and pass up an opportunity to come here. So just a couple things I think I'd really encourage the council and city manager and everybody involved to think about. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Penny Swan, Ward 4. I'm speaking on the fair committee also. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea that everybody on council is on it. That way we can have open transparency and no secrets, since people seem to think there's secrets going on. And as far as the $400,000 we're supposed to get from the state, we don't know if that's yearly, and $400,000 doesn't go very far when you're doing roads and infrastructure. If you look it up, probably 8 years ago, the number was $1 million a mile for the infrastructure. So I think a lot of people have the misconception that $5,000 is paying for the road. It's not, it's a percentage. The city's getting money elsewhere. So the $400,000 is great. We will take all the money we can get, but it's not gonna do the deed and cover all of our roads. So I applaud City Manager Mackey and the mayor for reinstating the fair committee, because we do want to save the residents all the money we can and get any funding we can. So awesome job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll stick on with the topic of the fair committee. Couple comments. First, kind of bigger picture. I kind of see this as an opportunity for council and the city manager to take responsibility off themselves, although they will be on the committee themselves, but take direct responsibility off yourselves and put it on a large group of other people. Also, I just want to go down the list of some of these possible people who will be on this committee, and point out that many of them, the different people, might not live in the city. All right, so let's start with the top, and I'm not going to name names and pretend I know where everyone lives, because I don't. But we can start at the top. Economic Development Corporation. I don't think that board requires people on that board to live in the city. Same with Tifa. Although I will mention, I would greatly value Drew Gelser's opinion, and if this does happen, that he be honest. Also, a quick note on Tifa. My understanding on Tifa is that they take the tax money from their area and use it for their own purposes, which might work out fine, but it doesn't benefit the roads necessarily. Next on down, Board of Public Utilities. My understanding is most of that board is not city residents. Next one down, Hillsdale College designated representative, that quite possibly could be a city resident, depending on whoever they decide to put on there. Hillsdale Community School Superintendent, or the designated representative, again, not necessarily a city resident. Hillsdale Hospital Chief Executive Officer, again, not necessarily a city resident. And then the last part, 5 members of the public. One, the mayoral selection at large doesn't say anything about being a city resident, although I'd like to assume you would appoint a city resident. And then finally, at the end, 1 city resident from each of the 4 wards. So I think you get my point. And I'll Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Oh,
Jack.
Jack McLean, 1445 South Bend Road. I want to speak about the Tifa board appointment of Mr. Sumner. I know he's been on the board before. I read through all the minutes that I could find on the Tifa. I didn't see where he was recommended by the Tifa board anyplace. There's a lot of newer people doing business in the town that owns businesses and buildings, which would, I think, fit the board a lot better maybe to get some new ideas. I mean, from what I read in his application, he'd been a board member and president for years. One of his big outstanding things, I think, is, and maybe I'm wrong, is like the purchase of the Kiefer House and the Dawn Theater, so, you know, I'm not sure if that's good or bad, I guess. I just think that appointment could be maybe looked at a little bit better and put out there that you do want someone else on the Tifa board. I wasn't thinking there was even any vacancies available on the Tifa board, but I don't know. Thank you.
thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the podium, and then we'll move into the consent agenda. I have approvals of bills of claims and BPU claims of October 30th, 2025, $1,060,832.76. Payroll of November 6th, 2025, $204,787.26. City Council minutes of November 3rd, 2025. City Council minutes of November 10th, 2025. Finance minutes of November 3rd, 2025. And a noise variance Hillsdale College Funding Fest. May I have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price. Oh yeah, you need a motion, sorry. So moved.
Support.
Support, sorry about that. Okay, I have a motion by Councilperson Morrissey and second by Councilperson Soha. May I have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilperson Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Mayor Sessions,
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley,
Yes.
and Bruns.
Yes.
9-0 is approved.
Okay, thank you. Now we move into communications petitions, Comcast letter. It's there for everyone to read in the packet, so I won't go over that. Next we have Police Chief Scott Hebner's resignation, okay? That is notification of the packet, City Manager Mackey and Laura Sargent of Human Resources, November 6, 2025. The letter is an official retirement notification to the city. My last day of employment will be December 1st, 2025. In regards to Scott Hebner. Okay, as stated in his letter, Chief Hebner has notified the city of Hillsdale that he plans to retire after 38 years of dedicated service to our community. I know that there's some questions about how I plan to fill this upcoming vacancy since it's a mayoral appointment. Last week I spoke to Chief Hebner and asked him if he would consider staying a while longer to give us time to find his replacement and so that he could be involved in that process. He graciously agreed to stay through the beginning of February, and I thank him for delaying his retirement to serve just a bit longer and ensure a stable transition of leadership for the police department and the fire department. It is my intentions to work closely with Chief Hebner, City Manager Mackey, Human Resource Director Laura Sargent, and the Council's Public Safety Committee to undertake a comprehensive search process to identify qualified candidates. I I am committed to a fair and transparent hiring process, one that considers both internal and external candidates with the goal of making sure that we select the right person for this critically important job. Is there any council comments? Yes, Councilman Solano.
I just want to say thank you, Chief Hefner, for your 38 years of dedication to our community. I think that's a remarkable act of service, and I admire it.
Yes.
I just like to echo that as well, and I thank you for hanging on for a little while until we can get your replacement. That's very important. Thank you.
I also
No,
want to say that he's just done a wonderful job for a number of years, and very thankful that he is going to assist you in finding a suitable replacement.
You know, it's not every day that you have somebody work their way up from patrol officer to chief of police, and it shows his dedication not only to the department, but to the city as well. So, Scott, thank you very much for that.
Thank you for your service, and I get the feeling you'll miss us less than we miss you.
Chief Hefner, would you come up and say a few words for us? And then I'll go back to council after that.
Good evening, and thank you for those words, I appreciate that. It was harder to retire than I thought. Typing a letter was fine, hitting the send button was a little more difficult. But after meeting with Mayor Sessions and City Manager Mackey last week, I didn't answer them that day. I met with my lieutenant, we took stock in what really needed to happen with the departments over the next couple of months. And there is a lot to do. We need to find some more recruits for the police department. We're going into the capital improvement plan for the departments citywide. Budget process starts in January. My executive administrative assistant's never been through that process. Whoever comes in to replace me has never been through that process here. So when we processed it down like that, it was more of an easier decision for me to hang on a couple more months to get us through those processes, or to assist somebody else in getting through those processes for the future, so that they can excel in that. I never had the intentions of leaving the city holding the bag in a couple of different areas, or making somebody else responsible for those. So I'm fine with doing that. There was no issue there. As I told you, Mr. Bentley, even if you were going to be mayor, that I was going to leave about a month after that. So I had made my decision before. Appreciate the work, so you will see me again, probably.
Thank you, Chief Hefner. Councilman Bentley?
Yes, thank you, Chief, for your great service for almost 4 decades. So you'll stay until February?
I don't have a hard date. We'll get through this process. The budget process starts in January, and usually requested budgets have to be submitted to the city. Last couple of years, about the end of the first week of February. I'll make sure that process is all done and submitted. Capital improvement plan should be submitted prior to that, but the police department, their mandatory annual reporting to the state takes place in January and February. And again, the administrative assistant that takes care of that for the department has never been through that process either. So the lieutenant and I sat down and come up with our work for the next couple of months, and that's what our focus is going to be, to get through all of that and bring people up to speed on doing that need to.
No, that's very gracious of you, because I know how excited you were to begin your retirement. So thank you for staying, and I hope there's an opportunity, and maybe we need to make a budget amendment or whatever, that you can transition with your replacement for a couple weeks or whatever, just to make sure he's fully up to speed. But again, thank you very much, Chief.
Any more council comment? Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate you staying on for a while. Okay, now we have, Hillsdale County Commissioner update, Doug Ingles.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. My update tonight has a few items. At our recent Board of Commissioners meeting last Monday, we heard from Mary Beth Leonard, Lifeway CEO, that financing at a local bank was not approved, and also the application for federal grant was not approved. Their Facilities Committee has recommended the new building be put on hold. The next Lifeway's board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday at their location in Jackson. Grant spending has been approved by the DNR Trust Fund that our Recreation Director Mike Wirtz talked about last week. The DNR Trust Fund was approved. The Board of Commissioners also approved a resolution to begin spending at Lewis Emery Park. The county's match is $89,800. The total grant is $343,000. Another item, the fee schedule at the clerk's office has been updated. Maximums are set by statute. Hillsdale County's fees are lower than the state statute. We did a cost of living adjustment of 2.7% approved for electeds and for the county pay schedule at our last board meeting as well. And for the city, it's important to know that 2026 dog licenses will only be available at the treasurer's office. No sale at townships or cities due to moving the process to online. The online is not ready to go yet, so licenses must be purchased at the county treasurer's office. And that completes my update for tonight. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Councilman Flynn.
On the Lifeways issue then,
Yes.
if their building has been put on hold, does that put the county's plans to move over to Care Drive on hold as well, or are you still plowing ahead?
We're plowing ahead. Here's the deal that we have that is, set very firmly, is that in October of 2028, the annex building must be vacated for district court. The process of, the timeline and the process of preparing and making sure that we are ready to go. If we have options, there's a 1-year plan and there's a 2-year plan. The 2-year plan, and either plan that we use requires 25 Care Drive.
Right.
So 25 Care Drive is still the destination for the court or for some shuffling of offices in order to accommodate all the space required between the historic courthouse and what will be moving from district court. 25 Care Drive is still going to be renovated or remodeled. We have architect drawings in process right now. I expect, like I think I've mentioned, in the next 2 weeks we should have those plans for 25 Care Drive. So the short answer to your question is yes, we're moving forward, even though there's been certain changes that regard Lifeways.
So if you are moving forward and Lifeways is on hold, where does Lifeways go then as you move forward? Because you really can't renovate a building if they're still there, correct?
Right, so we have a lease that goes to 2030 that we just signed, the Board of Commissioners and Lifeways. In that lease, there's a 6-month escape clause, so to speak, that Lifeways can provide to the county or the county can provide to Lifeways. So that 6 months, at some point, when we get to crunch time, so to speak, when that moment happens, notice will be given, I fully expect, and 6 months later, Lifeways will have another location. We still want to have Lifeways find their good spot. They've spoken about a variety of opportunities. One opportunity is to do it in stages. I expect that they know full well that the county needs that building. So I can't speak for Lifeways, but I can speak for the plans that we're doing, and that is moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Questions for, Councilman Pro Tem Belladino?
Thank you. Thank you for the update, Commissioner. Did the bank give a reason for the loan denial that was made public to you?
I was not told that.
Thank you.
More questions?
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay, we do not have any introductions or adoptions to ordinance or public hearing. No old business, so we'll move into new business. MDOT performance resolution for November 17th. May I have Mr. Blake report?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager. This item is an annual item that comes before council as is required by MDOT as part of our annual application for a maintenance contract through MDOT. As this is kind of new for everyone, I'll go ahead and read it if you don't mind. Each year it is necessary for the city to adopt a resolution which is required by the Michigan Department of Transportation for the purpose of issuing individual permits to use its M99 rights of way within city boundaries. The Department of Public Services, the Board of Public Utilities, Police Department, Fire Department require use of the right of way from time to time. Street maintenance, special assessments, or special events, etc. Enclosed for council review is the performance resolution for municipalities. Upon approval, this resolution authorizes the Director of DPS, Board of Public Utilities, and the Assistant City Manager to apply for an annual maintenance permit in addition to permits for various uses throughout the year. Staff recommends to approve the resolution as written.
All right, is there any questions, Mr. Blake? Okay, so may I entertain a motion to adopt the resolution, which is a requirement of the Michigan State Department for purposes of issuing individual permits to use its M99 right of way within the city boundaries?
So moved.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Morrissey and supported by Councilman Soha. May I have a roll call vote?
Yes, Councilperson Morrissey.
Yes.
Soha.
Yes.
Stucho.
Yes.
Wolfram.
Yes.
Palladino.
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
Bruns.
Yes.
And Flynn.
Yes.
It's 9-0 approved, resolution 3656.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We'll move into new business, Hillsdale County Equalization Department renewal and contract for GIS mapping services. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So you have in front of you a contract with the Hillsdale County Equalization Department. Since 2013, the city has partnered with the county on a contractual basis to provide GIS services for us, including updating our parcel maps and providing our mapping software and system. These are 3-year contract terms. We do this along with, I believe, every township in the county as well. So we all work through the equalization office to do that. Part of the contract also covers every 5 years, they do an aerial flyover, and that helps provide new updated aerial imagery that goes with all of those maps. So anytime you have a transaction, property transaction in the city, you have a deed, and it's got a legal description, and so there's some pretty complex math that the software takes care of to make sure those boundaries are accurate, and that the tax descriptions are accurate. So that's part of this contract. I noted that the fee schedule was in there, but not the exact dollar amount. I figured we're curious, so it is $3,343 last year. So it's far more economical for the city to do this through the county than to bring on a staff person to do this.
Okay, is there any council questions for Mr. Fry? Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Thank you. Are there any alternatives? Do any other companies provide this service?
I don't know that there are a lot of private companies that would do it. It's really a function of whether your, local assessor's office does it, or, you partner with, another local jurisdiction, in this case, the county. I know in talking to Kim that like the software alone to do this would cost more than the $3,300. So
Thank you.
that's why we've done it for the last, going on 13 years or so.
Okay, are there any more questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Fry. May I entertain a motion to approve the contract for the renewal for the period commencing January 1st to 2026 and ending December 31st, 2028, and the clerk in the mayor or or authorized to sign the agreement. Sorry about that.
So moved.
All right, I got a motion by Councilperson Flynn, supported by Councilperson Morrissey. May I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price?
Yes, Councilperson Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Mayor Sessions,
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley,
Yes.
Bruns,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
and Morrissey.
Yes.
That's approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go into item new business, reforming the fund alternative identifications and recommendation fair committee. When I ran for mayor, one of the priorities was bringing back the fair committee. The purpose of reforming this committee is simple: to evaluate every funding option available so that we can continue making long-term progress on road repairs and infrastructure. It has been nearly 10 years since the fair committee last met, and much has changed since then. The city has made meaningful improvements with the use of special assessments districts and local road monies, but we still have significant needs and limited resources. Now it is the right time to take a fresh look at our approach. We have 3 road projects in design that will come before council in January. We need to act now so that these projects are not delayed. With these projects coming up, now is the time to pause, look carefully at our current funding mechanisms, and determine whether they are still the best tools for the job, or whether adjustments should be made. Step 1 is solving any challenge, is understanding the problem. The Fair Committee will allow us to clearly identify our infrastructure needs, review what has worked well, what is not working, and openly discuss what tools or policies will help us move forward more effectively. This is not an advisory committee, not a decision-making body. Council retains full authority to make any and all decisions. The Fair Committee's role is simply to gather information, explore options, and present recommendations. The proposed membership is intentionally broad to increase public representation and input. The Fair Committee membership structure I am proposing is similar to the 2016 committee membership. However, this time I want to include all the elected members of council and have more public input. More than half of this committee would be members of the public and their elected representatives, ensuring that the people have a voice. The committee will be streamlined, and I would like all the positions filled by December 1st meeting. Is there any questions? Yes, Councilman.
I take the point that the gentleman made during the public comment about residency in the city, and I suggest that perhaps we could amend this, if we do it, amend this so that the various members will all be residents of the city. Hillsdale College would be, and et cetera. All those people would be residents of the city. I think that's only fair, so to speak.
Okay. And Councilman Flynn.
I agree with that, but just with a little caveat. We were discussing Berry Street earlier this year. I do know that a few of the property owners, because they were rental properties, a few of the property owners live outside the city. So, I mean, you gotta kind of, I think, weigh that in a little bit too, that not every property owner on a city street actually lives in town. So, does that throw a monkey on something, or?
Since there aren't a huge number of people on this board to begin with, I would prefer them to be residents and taxpayers of the city. This is my thought.
And then, I guess the question would then be for the lawyer then, is that legal? Can we stipulate that in whatever wording we come up with, that the people on this committee must be city residents?
Yes, for purposes of that committee, you could include anyone you wanted to for that particular time.
Sure. Thank you.
Councilman Sola.
I'd just like to add, though, that there are many business owners like Mr. Joswick of that owns the big dealership there, he doesn't live in the city, but he's one of the largest taxpayers in the city. And he has voiced to me frustration that he has had no opportunity for voice on committees or council here, because he's not a resident. So that's a consideration I think we should entertain.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Dino.
Josh is there.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Mayor, appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with Councilman Morrissey, and we've had this debate before, and I just think the cleanest principle is that if you are exercising any advisory or political power over the city, it's ideal that they be residents, because lots of people have businesses in Ohio and they live in Michigan, not lots, but I think political power needs to be tightly connected to residency. So I agree with Councilman Morrissey. I'm curious, what were your criteria? What's your methodology for selecting these institutions?
I just wanted, I wanted all representation from council, okay, and myself, and then I also wanted, the people from, like the hospital, like businesses that are associated with the city, because they I've had so many businesses say, I can't say anything, I can't vote, I can't do this, and so I would rather, you be on a committee like this, to be able to speak, then that would give me representation, where they haven't felt like they haven't had it before.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I think that's just a disagreement in principle about who should have representation, but in terms of Hillsdale College, Hillsdale Community Schools, what was the metric for those specific institutions?
Just getting leaders, from the community,
Yeah, I guess my concern there at Hillsdale College, it's a large taxpayer, but tax exempt, Hillsdale Hospital tax exempt, Hillsdale Community Schools tax exempt, and I just wonder, Meyer, Hillsdale Terminal, these are some of the largest taxpayers in the city, and they're not tax exempt. I just wonder if there was a criteria that would incorporate all this. I get that Hillsdale College and Hillsdale Hospital in many ways are the face of the city, and maybe rightfully so, but that's kind of my concern on that front, that it's a little bit heavy on the non-profit tax exempt side of things.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilman Scotia, yes, Councilman Flynn.
You mentioned you wanted these positions filled hopefully by December 1st. Do you have a timeline after that you would like a recommendation by the fair committee by a certain date? Are you looking at doing this in a month, 2 months, 6 months?
Yeah, we'd like to have like a special meeting maybe in the second week of December to get this going. Okay, so that's why I was shooting for December 1st, trying to get the positions filled. So, yes, Councilman Bellamy.
I think Dr. Morrissey and I maybe can agree on one ward member, but I'm not sure that all the pairs of councilmen from the various wards are going to agree on one person, so maybe we should consider each of us making an appointment. And another thing I might mention is I think we should also include somehow a South Street, an Oak Street, and a Berry Street person specifically, since those were the current and recent special assessment targets.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Councilman.
I agree with that, but with that said, we have a list through 2030 that was presented at a meeting here a couple meetings ago, so I mean, if you're gonna think that, you might as well have somebody from Reading Avenue as well. Arch Avenue, one of the representatives from the industrial park out there. I mean, you might as well, if you're gonna do that, you might as well have somebody from everybody on that list, because this is gonna affect all of those people.
Thank you, I agree. And I agree with what was said earlier, that more citizens, fewer powers that be. I think we would like to hear from the citizens. So to include all those would be good, but this would soon get to be a committee of dozens. So, and documents and what does this look like?
Well, right now, this is just being presented, okay, for approval. Okay, so, you know, we can work this through right now if you want to, or we can actually put it back to a committee and have it done, but I would like to have it done quickly, you know? I just, you know, that's, because
Which committee would this fall under, Mr. Mayor?
I would say probably, DPS Mr.
Public Services.
Public Services, yeah. But I wanna get going on this because, you know, we do have, time when these, roads are gonna be done, so, and we gotta move on it, so, if you want, Councilman Morrison.
I do agree with it, we can't allow this to become a huge committee, you know, it's just not gonna, it won't work if you put all these different people on there. As far as putting people on the different streets, if we're gonna set a policy, then it's gonna be for all of the streets in the future. And, you know, so I'm a little bit worried about adding street residents. It just seems to me unwieldy if we get many more than what we have right here, as well, honestly. I think that the number that you have is good.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yeah, I do think that in particular, I agree that this would get very unwieldy, but in particularly, the one member from each of the city's 4 wards, like Rob and I are kind of on the opposite side of the SAD question. Not that we couldn't find someone reasonable, but ultimately you're gonna have to pick someone who's either in favor of the current way it's done or is open to reform, and that's gonna make it kind of hard to decide, I think. Yeah.
Councilman Donnelly.
Yeah, it seems to me 21 is already an unwieldy number, and I'm not sure, maybe you could say a little more about what this committee is intended to do. We're maxed out on villages, the SADS is a front burner issue that we should, I don't know how a 21-person committee is gonna address that, because ultimately, the property owners on those special assessment districts are gonna veto it or not. So, I'm not sure the exact purpose of this committee. And, I mean, it seems like one of the, somebody said from the podium, why can't we do it ourselves in committee and in this body? And if there is gonna be a committee, I would suggest broadening it, that there's like a standing road committee of citizens that know and have strong opinions about not just the funding, but the choosing of the roads and the fixes, the particular fixes, because right now it seems to be just staff, you know, comes up with whatever they do, and it's not clear to us how they pick them. There's just a lot, the citizen engagement would be a good thing to do. But as far as the specific funding, I mean, we're gonna get what we get from the state, we get what we get from the villages. We got this special assessment struggle. So I'm not sure 21 or 31, I'm not sure what the point of the meeting is. Of course, elections have consequences, and I applaud your initiative to find a solution to these problems. But it doesn't, you know, the question of who's on it and how many are on it kind of begs the question of what's it supposed to do.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to kind of give the council an update on the first fair committee, as was said by Mayor Sessions, that was done about 9 years ago, and we had a cross-section of folks from the community, business people, residents, council members that were on that committee. And the idea behind that was looking at kind of through the process was looking at where we stood first, identifying you know, what our condition was on the roads, what funding mechanisms were out there on which to address the problem. And the committee looked at how, what they felt and coalesced around what they felt was the best best course of action to address the problem that was repairing the roads in the city. So it was the committee who made a recommendation to the full council, looking at special assessments, looking at the dedicated road millage, searching out grants and those things all came from a recommendation from that committee. And in talking to Mayor Sessions, and looking at what we've been able to accomplish over the last 9 years, I would say that one could say that's been fairly successful in financing projects. Now, is there room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. You know, we have a certain number of tools to address the problem. We have a certain size of problem, and we have a length of time that we want to address it in. Those are the things that I see us presenting, and where Hillsdale stands within that data set. And I see that's where we would start off with the committee, is everyone understanding, you know, how big the problem is, what funding we have for it, and then how we progress to making the best course of actions. If eliminating or reducing special assessments ultimately is recommended and council adopts that, that's how we move forward. It truly is, you know, just an opportunity to review the funding sources we have, the structure, and deciding the best course of action to move forward with the data. You know, we can, in those meetings, you know, everyone will be afforded the opportunity to ask questions. The staff will be at your beck and call for this process, and then let all of you decide how to move forward. And then once you give us your direction, whether it's amend the special assessment districts, eliminate them, keep them, you know, we're here to do what you know, the majority of council directs us to do. So that's really the purpose in this. And I would just say that, you know, if the committee gets too large, then it will be unruly. Not from an aggressive standpoint, will be hard to focus on necessarily a solution or something that people can coalesce around. It's not, you know, not everybody is going to agree on how to move forward, but good people can make a decision for the best, I think, of the community. So,
Thank you, City Manager. But I would just point out so what came out of the one 10 years ago, which of course may have been necessary, was special assessments and raising millages. Our millages are tapped out for the foreseeable future, as far as I understand, so we're not going to get that. We already have the SADs. Staff knows better than anybody how to get the grants. But what the people hear, then, I would suggest, when you say that, is we're looking for new funding from the people. And when they see the oligarchs of the college and the hospital and the schools and EDC and Tifa, they grab their wallets for protection, because where else is the money going to come from? If there were another source, you would have found it by now. So again, I think that the issue is special assessments, and this committee of 21 plus is only going to obscure and confuse the situation, whereas this body and or the residents of those two streets should just, you know, negotiate directly. But again,
Councilman Bentley, just to answer a couple of those questions. First, negotiating directly. Our purpose in local management, government management, is to treat everyone equally and fairly. Negotiating with each individual party would create, I don't want to say some type of chaos, but it would put the council in a position of picking winners and losers. What typically you like to see happen is you establish a policy that can be applied uniformly across the board, and you treat everyone the same, so that one person can't say, well, I paid $5,000, or I paid, and somebody else say I paid 2 or less. If you have fair criteria, that's all well and good. And I truly believe that with what council's amendments or changes that were made, doing it by the front footage and accommodating smaller lots, that is a pretty fair policy as far as administration. Now, council could still decide to tweak that a little bit. That's up to you guys. But I think limiting the number actually gets to a solution. Live streaming it so others can watch it and educate themselves on it and talk to their representatives, all of you, and their friends or associates would be good. I know one of the questions that came up is about the hospital and the college and the school. You also have to keep in mind that they are some of our largest, if not our largest employers. So they employ the majority of the folks here in the community. And, as far as special assessments, they do, just to be clear, they do pay special assessments. If there's a road that the college owns a property on and was in a special assessment, they've paid their share. Same thing with the school. City pays its own special assessments. The hospital has paid theirs when we did those roads up there. So I don't want anyone to think that if they're not paying taxes on certain properties, whether like it's at the college, they pay on some and some they don't. If there's special assessments, they pay special assessments, all of them do. So just wanted to make sure that that's clear. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sessions. This discussion has reminded me, this appears to be a duplication of efforts. I personally don't want to be a part of another committee, and I don't, we always get held to account about whispering in the dark, and now, all 9 of us together outside of a council meeting on, making discussions with the potential for people to misconstrue that. But we just had this year, Public Services got together, we wrestled it out, we came up with the new guidelines, council unanimously approved it, I believe it was unanimous. And it just appears to me if we need to rehash this, we already have a committee. So maybe we just get this back into Public Services, and then before the Public Services Committee meeting, maybe we just have what do you call it, a town hall here in the chamber or wherever, and invite the whole community to come to the town hall with the specifics like we did with the road diet, with the specifics, hey, here's the city's financial situation, here's why we adopted this in the teens to go forward with special assessments, here's where we are now, here's why we think we need it, or here's how we think we could adjust it, bring us your ideas, and then Public Services could take all that, put it together, and that's an open meeting as well, right? So the community's invited to the Public Services meeting, and we're not forming a whole new meeting, a whole new committee in a short amount of time, and to Councilman Palladino's, all the not-for-profits that are here, to Councilman Bentley's point, just the appearance of that could have some connotations there. Although I appreciate the theme or the desire there. But as I've listened to the discussion tonight and think about it, I think it's a duplication of efforts, and I think we could have a town hall and then have public services address the, special assessments, because it's obvious that that's the whole reason that this is coming together, so.
Councilman Bentley.
I 100% agree with everything Councilman Soha just said. And just to clarify, when I said negotiate, I didn't mean, in a room face to face. I meant they've shown their hand. Now it's up to council to decide what the residential max is. That's how it looks to me. And then they can take it or leave it. I don't mean like a back and forth technical. I just mean broadly. So.
Councilman Barnes.
Great points, I think, Councilman Soha, and I'm fine with the public services idea, that sounds good to me. I would also just throw out there that we could have a committee of the whole, or a special session, if we wanted to address it more broadly and then kick it to public services. Either way, I think there are a few options to do what you're talking about.
Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yeah, I think I'm also convinced by Councilman Soha's points here. Again, the problem though is that the special assessment districts are necessarily discriminatory. I just don't know how we can get away from this. For example, you get Broad Street, that's no special assessment, right? We are working in a system where the state is fickle with grants and with money, and there's a lot of different factors. So we're necessarily picking winners and losers. I think we just need to do that prudently. Some places get grants, right? Some places get state funding. And I want to emphasize that point about responsibility. We just had an election, right? You got 12, 15% of all the registered voters chose you. I would be, if you want to exercise the policy leadership of the mayor, which is really what I envision the mayor being, and bring forward proposals, and then that's what we deliberate and act upon. I think that would be actually, in a sense, the way to get the most public participation. The people chose you, you then present alternatives, in consultation with the staff, and we could operate on those. In terms of what can practically be done, Councilman Bentley, I'll just offer it again, though I know it's not popular. I really think the fairest way to go would be to replace the special assessment money with a new millage that exceeds the millage cap, and it's totally uniform. It follows the normal rules. We do have to get 60 or 60, is it a supermajority? 60 or 60% to pass something above the millage cap. I believe it's 2/3 majority. But that would be totally open in the public. It would be completely uniform according to the normal tax standards, and we could just put this whole thing behind us. Are you on the right street? Are you on the wrong street? Did you get a federal grant that's going to cut down on funding? Are you on a state highway? It would just set all of those things aside, and we could just have a fully uniform tax system.
Okay. What I did is, when I ran for election, I brought up the fair committee to the voters, and they liked it, and that's why I brought it to the council, because that's what I ran on, and they voted me in, and a lot of people told me that they wanted that to happen. So that's all I'm going by, and that's why I proposed it to the council, and, I'll do whatever the council wants me to do, but that's why I did run, so.
I tend to agree though with Councilman Soha. We already have the Public Services Committee, and I would think that whatever discussion would start there. So are you looking at the Fair Committee making the recommendation to the Public Services Committee, and then they make the recommendation to council? Because I would hate, according to my list, public services include major streets, local streets, things of that nature, so I would think that they would have a say in the matter. So would the Fair Committee then go to Public Safety Services? And if so, then I agree with Mr. Soha 100%. It just seems an extra redundant step, so, if this is something that we already have a committee, we already have people on that committee, if we just let them say, okay, go out there and see what's available, see what's not available, do we need to tweak it here or there? I think we have these people on this committee to make that decision, and then come to council and say, this is what we think, and then have the whole council go from there.
Is that a motion?
I'll make more discussion.
Okay, all right. Councilman Stucci.
I admire what you want to do, the
wants the roads fixed. Nobody in the city wants to pay for it. That's the level we're at. As far as picking winners and choosers, that's what we do for all meeting on this council. Nothing is fair. I mean, we have to make hard choices, hard decisions all the time. That's why we like to do this. And if we can't have a nice, even system, it's never gonna be even, it's never gonna be fair. I commend you, I applaud you for what you're trying to do, but I have to agree with the census here that we have committees. That's what we're here for. That's what we're elected for. We don't need another 38 people to tell us how to do this job. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the spirit of what you're wanting to do and what the people want is, I hear it. And what I would like to propose, and I don't know, is that we have a town hall here about special assessments specifically, and open it up in this chamber, invite the entire community to come, voice their opinions, invite the city to come, present the whys, the hows, the whats, the ifs, let the people talk. We could have public services here at least to, engage and take that and then take it to a special public services meeting where again, the public would be invited to discuss it again. And then that way, I think, would satisfy this desire that you had on the campaign trail of people to be engaged for this specific topic.
Councilman Palladino.
Thank you. Yes, very good, Councilman. So if I could just add one thing, maybe a way to integrate these two ideas would be to actually request that TIFA, EDC, the college, any interested party, if they want to come and present and say, here's how our institution, which is intimately connected to the city, interacts with this system. Here's the benefits. Here's the here's the repercussions of this for us. We could invite that as maybe a special part of that, right? If TIFA wants to have a meeting to discuss this and then bring their consensus as a body, that way we just use the committees that exist, but I think still get to the end that you're aiming at.
Thank you, Mayor, and this is just my 2 cents listening to all of your discussions. I like the idea of Councilman Bruns as the committee as a whole, because what we've seen over the last year is some things have gone to committee, and then the other members of council have wanted to be more involved in that discussion, so we've got kind of stymied by some of the committee structures on important topics, right? It's just that 3 or 4 people talk about it and come here, and then 2 or 3 others want to dig into it a little more. So we get we've gotten stymied a couple times on important topics. So the council as a whole might be a good idea, but doing the public meeting would be good. Anyone who wants to attend, I think that's a compromise. I would say that I would suggest that as opposed to making it all about special assessments, that the first meeting we do talk about the magnitude of the problem and the components or the pieces that we have as a community to help solve it. Whether it's special assessments, a millage, the various things, so that everyone knows, okay, we've got these half a dozen things to bring in revenue. And what we're trying to do is come up with the best match. And then if the public can see, that this is a thoughtful process and everyone's trying to do their best, for the residents as well as to achieve the goal, you might be able to get people to coalesce around the idea of how we move forward on that. As Councilman Stuchel said, everyone wants their roads fixed, but no one really wants to pay for it. Some have chose to do that in order to get it done, but no one really wants to pay extra when you ask them, hey, you want to pay $5,000? Well, no, only if I have to. So I think there's there is a way to do this that you can get the most input from the residents, and all of council can be part of that decision.
So could we potentially then make a motion to have a committee of the whole meeting that second that you had talked about. And then if people from the hospital, the college, Tifa, the ED, and the general public want to come to that committee of the whole meeting, they can. We can start the process there. Or do we have to vote on this first, then make a motion?
No, this is just,
This is just,
bringing me
okay.
forward and getting this going.
Then I would, man.
Councilman Bowman.
No, I think we're all kind of moving in the same direction. And so I would suggest maybe and I appreciate the clock is ticking, we need to do this quickly. And so I'm not suggesting this is a stalling tactic, but we just discussed a lot of things. So if we do send it to public services maybe as soon as this week, so that we can, coalesce around what we talked about right now and put it into some kind of resolution with staff and then call for this meeting of the whole and the public. Because I think we're very close, but I don't think we're gonna unless we just wanna go ahead and skip that step. It seems prudent to.
So
Why does public services need to meet before the meeting of the whole?
I guess it doesn't, I just.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Soha, we may as well just settle that tonight and go forward.
So do I have a motion?
Then I would make a motion that we hold a committee of the whole meeting the second week of December at a date that works best for all of us, to start the discussion on roads.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Councilwoman Flynn, a second by Councilman Morrissey to put together a council of the whole for a meeting in the second week of December. Oh, Councilman Soha, I'm sorry.
Could we just set the date to the 8th, the second Monday?
The 8th? And just sure. Yeah. Okay.
That works for everybody.
Does that work for everybody?
I'll make it work.
Okay.
That's
all right. At 7 o'clock, yep, right here
Here
in
in the
chambers.
That gives the public a month or 3 weeks and they get to celebrate Thanksgiving.
So I amend my motion to read the 8th of December at 7 PM here in council chambers.
All right, second, all right, I have a motion. All right, so we've got a motion to make the council of the whole on December 8th at 7 o'clock in council chambers. I got a second by Council Morrissey. May I have a roll call vote, city clerk?
No, worries.
Oh.
A little discussion now.
Oh, you want a little discussion? Okay. All right.
Because I think it's a fine idea, but are we gonna try to have a resolution? What, is it just gonna be a talk fest essentially? That's why I was kind of suggesting we go to committee to give it parameters, because right now it just seems like there's gonna be 9 of us, and so, it's just a question.
Okay, well, Councilman, or city manager, Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor Sessions. Councilman Bentley, this is what I would envision doing if council wants me to do something different. That the staff would put together a presentation of the data, where we stand. Like, for example, I can tell you that there's been independent data done that shows that we have the worst roads in the state of a community our size. And we can present that information of where we stand, how much roads we have to fix, the engineering data that we presented before, and then we can go from that into these are our funding options, everything. And if council or others have proposals that, it can be an interactive discussion. And then we can throw them out there, you can maybe have a whiteboard and write them down so that we keep track of them, and then discuss them all. If we need to go back and research some, we can do that, and then subsequently decide if we have another meeting to actually, flush out, a direction. That's what I would see, that's okay with council.
Sounds great, I'm ready to vote.
All right, Councilman.
I just have a quick comment, and that is the special assessment districts are not taken from one person and given to another, and that I got an increase in my property values, which probably far exceeded the money that I spent on the special assessment district. So I just wanted to
Yes.
Wolfram?
Yes.
Palladino?
Yes.
Mayor Sessions?
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley?
Yes.
Bruns?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Morrissey?
Yes.
And Solha.
Yes.
Thank
9-0 approved.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the discussion. Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to new business, electric, water, sewer cost and services study. City Manager Mackey.
Thanks, Mayor Sessions. So, this pertains to, the electric, water, and sewer departments. The BPU's last cost of service studies were done in the spring of 2022, which was data from the end of 21, by Utility Financial Solutions. Given the market changes over the last several years, coming out of COVID and the spike of equipment pricing and length of time, the BPU board and staff felt it was important to update our cost of service models to ensure the BPU rate structures are appropriate and in line with the utility's needs. We went back to UFS to ask them to give us pricing to update and rework those cost of service models for the electric, the water, and the sewer departments. And the pricing that you have in your packet is there. The finance director has reviewed this pricing as she works throughout the state and believes that the pricing is good. Typically, one of these is about $30,000, which we see for the electric because it's a unique utility, or water and sewer, we were able to get the price down because they kind of complement one another. Now, a couple of things, again, as we said, the market has changed since we have done the previous study. We're through COVID, and we do have a number of large capital projects that we've been working on. So that those expenditures and capital improvements for the future need to be factored into the rates. Also, one of the things just for council to understand is when we establish rates or rate increases and reserves, they all have to be defensible if we're sued. If someone comes in and attempts to sue us and say our rates are too high or out of line, we have to be able to defend our rate structure. This process actually does that. They're a third party, again, that we can use, and they do these studies all over the state and other utilities just like ours, and their data is very defensible. So with that, the BPU board and the staff are asking council to approve the cost of service studies plus the contingencies for an amount not to exceed $69,825 to UFS, and authorize the city manager to execute the associated agreements.
Okay, are there any council questions for City Manager Mackey? Councilman Flynn.
Just to be clear, does this, since you brought it up, does this mean that if we have this update done, that there will be an update on rates, or are we looking at keeping the rates pretty much where they are?
So what comes out of this is, and this is what came out of the last study. So they actually present a rate structure based on a reserve amount that's common within the industries, and so we target those as part of our financial system to hold our rates. Typically, we'll see a 2% increase, or you'll see sometimes double digits for public utilities like consumers and others. You know, they've had over 10.
Oh, right.
Yeah, where we've been at 1, 2. We have had water and sewer, which were led to get kind of off base a few years back. We had some larger increases there, but that's because we passed a $9 million bond to fund the sewer treatment plant, and we had, for the bonding companies, had to show a certain amount of revenue and reserves. So, on the electric side, it's been very low, 1-2%, and that's been pretty common. water and sewer have been, about 5%. We have had 10, but that was because their rates were allowed to get out of whack. So it does, but on water and sewer, when you look at, it could be 10% or 5%, it might be $2. So you have to look at what the total amount is. Yes, they give us a structure, and council can adopt it or not, and in the past they have.
What do you think?
Any more questions?
Is this necessary from an administrative standpoint? Does BPU know how much it needs to increase its rates? Is this a tool of legal defense, or do you need this information?
This information is actually very important to us, yes.
Okay.
Councilman Bentley.
Not to exceed 70,000, which, and when was the last time this was done?
Spring of 2022 with data from the end of 21.
Okay. Councilman Soto. Does the BPU pay for this?
The individual departments do, yes. So this is a BPU expenditure from within their own departments.
Any more council discussion? Okay, seeing none, may I entertain a motion to approve the COS studies plus contingencies in the amount of $69,825 with UFS and authorize the city manager to execute the associated agreements.
So moved.
All right.
Support.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Wolfram, supported by Councilman Flynn. Any more council discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilperson Wolfram.
Yes.
Palladino.
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
Bruns.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Morrissey.
Yes.
Soha.
Yes.
And Stuchel.
Yes.
That's 9-0, it's approved.
All right, thank you. Now moving to new business, the Tall Grass Energy Project. City Manager Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor Sessions. So the next two, the Tall Grass Energy Project and the Kearsarge Solar Project are two energy projects that we're considering for energy capacity and RECs, the two projects for our energy portfolio. Now, we do have Mr. Paul Beckhuse in here with us. He's a Senior Vice President of AMP Power Supply, and actually he's part of the gentleman who actually looks at different communities' energy portfolios and makes a recommendation to them on whether they should be in a project and how much they should be in a particular project. And there's criteria for all of that. We will not need to go into closed session. That's typically done if you're negotiating pricing. We've negotiated the pricing and it's in the agreements that you have in front of you, so we don't have to go into closed session. But I would like to ask Mr. Beckhuse to come up and actually talk about, the things that they look at, or his department looks at when making a recommendation to the community. Now, some of you might know, Paul retired from the city of Coldwater. He was their VP director, and then went to AMP. So Paul's a wealth of knowledge, and he can pretty much answer everything you got. So with that, Paul, can you just kind of go through what your department looks at and why this is important? One, from the energy standpoint, but also if you could touch on the requirements we have in place through the legislature requiring us to amp our green energy up.
Right, a pleasure. Thank you. A pleasure to be here tonight and talk through these. So there's two projects we've recommended for the city of Hillsdale, along with other members of AMP that are located in Michigan, particularly Coldwater, Clinton, and Marshall. Those being the Tallgrass Power Purchase Agreement and the Kearsarge Solar Power Purchase Agreement. Tallgrass is a waste to heat project. So it's a facility that will take heat off of gas compressor stations, convert that into energy. And so from a power supply perspective, it's a resource that will operate what's referred to as a baseload resource, so seven days a week, 24 hours a day. The solar project, just that solar number, there's, I think in aggregate, 7 or 8 solar projects located throughout the state of Michigan. So when we evaluate our members' power supply, we identify different levels of need. So base energy supply, that's the energy you need 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And then what's referred to as an intermediate power supply, which is typically 5 by 16. So that's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then peak energy, which are those hours, particularly in this part of the country in the summertime, when you have your air conditioners and high heating load. So from Hillsdale's perspective, the recommendations here for the tall grass fit the need for that base load resource, and the solar fits the need for those peaking resources. That's on the energy side. In the state of Michigan, there's 2 requirements that load serving entities, utilities have. One is a renewable energy mandate that's currently at 15%, but ratchets up here by 2030 to 20%, and then subsequently out till 2040 on a path to 100%. Both these projects, the solar particularly provides renewable energy credits to meet those needs. And the tall grass project does not meet the renewable energy credits are qualified in Ohio, they're not qualified in Michigan, but they would be sold and then purchased, we would purchase back renewable energy credits in the state of Michigan to meet those requirements for that project. So that's 2 benefits for both those projects. The other requirement is capacity. So each load serving entity is required to show 4 years in advance that they meet their capacity requirements. It's a filing that we do on behalf of the Michigan members with the Public Service Commission. And so both of these projects also provide capacity to meet those needs. That market particularly has seen a significant increase in pricing, at least doubled in the last 2 years. So both these projects would be hedges to the exposure in that market to meet those needs. So that's the high level overlay of both of these projects and benefit that brings to the city.
Paul, could you just touch on the actual pricing level?
Sure.
I know the 2 projects are fairly comparable, $80 for the Kearsarge,
Yep.
and then over the 15-year period. Could you talk about the market and
Sure.
what you're seeing?
Yep. So I'll start with tall grass. So tall grass again is a baseload resource. That pricing structure. So it's got a 2% escalator. It starts out at $68.50 for the first year, and then escalates 2% year over year. It's 15-year term. So when you cost average that out over the period, it's about $79 a megawatt hour. Current market for 7 by 24 power is just under $60 a megawatt hour. That's energy only. When you factor in the renewable energy credits, that's about $4 worth of value, and the capacity is about $11 per megawatt hour in value. So when you add those together, that's $15 a megawatt hour that discounts off that energy price because you get all 3 attributes for that price. So that puts that project right in line with where that current forward markets are for energy only. And then on the solar project, the Kearsarge project, that's a fixed, price, $80 per megawatt hour for the term. That's on-peak energy, so that market right now for, on-peak energy, particularly, we look at it in the summer months because that's one, when the solar generates the most energy, and then two, that's typically where we see the highest prices. The forward markets for the on-peak energy is in the $70, $72 range right now. So again, when you look at the current market and then the capacity value and the renewable energy credit value that brings, that puts both projects right in line with where you would be in the market, exposed to just the energy side of things.
Any council questions? Councilman.
So if we pass both of these, sir, tonight, this would get us to that 20% renewable for Hillsdale's BPU?
Yeah, so currently for the upcoming years, so the next couple of years, but that ratchets up year over year. So there would be a period of time, in the near future where we need to look at some other alternatives, but this would provide the front end of the need.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Solon.
A couple of questions. What happens if institution changes in Lansing next year and the renewable energies mandate is rescinded and we no longer have the requirement to not to be punished for not having 100% renewable energy as our own private utility? How are we able to do we have an escape clause?
Well, and that's one, both of these are not meeting those long-term requirements. It's really where we're at today, so there's not an abundant amount of renewable energy credits that you would be exposed to with these projects. There is a market there where you can sell them and get that revenue back to offset the price. But they're a resource, capacity. The real value is the capacity energy, the hedge that the projects provide to the market, what you would be exposed in the market. Renewable energy piece of it, from a financial perspective, is a pretty small component currently. That market's around $3 to $4 a megawatt hour.
So, how does this compare to coal-powered energy or natural gas-powered energy or nuclear power in megawatt-hour pricing?
So, from a resource perspective, from a new resource perspective, so these are new resources. If you're going to build a natural gas plant today, that pricing is, again, dependent on price of natural gas. With the debt and everything that's associated with that, you're in the range of, probably in the range of $70 to $80 a megawatt hour for a new resource.
Mr. Mackey, what do we pay on the open market for naturally right now, approximately, for coal-powered, natural gas-powered?
Well, Paul, you could probably answer this because you see this daily, but the assets that we're involved in are natural gas, the AMP at Fremont. That's $30 to $40, but
that's the energy component only.
Yes.
The all-in cost with the debt service is around $50 a megawatt hour. So again, when you look at the resources the city currently has, these are a very small component of the overall portfolio. When at these market prices that I referenced, the market is a very diverse portfolio of lots of different generating resources: nuclear, coal, natural gas, wind, solar. But the generators sell into the market and the pricing that I referenced in that $60, the current price point for 7x24 market power, which would be relative to a nuclear resource or a coal resource. Natural gas, particularly also because natural gas, there's a lot of that in the market right now, is around that $60.
Yeah, I saw last month, the numbers were like 58 and some change for that.
Yeah, it's uptick. We see, we look at it every day. Today, we just got the market update, we're at $60. If you were to go out and do a deal today.
It is important to mention that we got into those projects years ago before so they've been around quite a while.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. To follow up, so you're asking us to approve rates that are gonna go up 30% in the next 15 years. Have they gone up 30% in the last 15 years?
Rates.
Electricity rates for the consumers here in Hillsdale.
I guess I'm not sure where you're coming up with that the rates are gonna go up 30.
68.90, 2% a year for 15 years, up to 92.90. That's for the tall grass. $80 per kilowatt hour to start for the solar, up to 110.
2%. You're talking a 2% increase over 15 years. 2% a year.
A year, yeah, that's what I said. In 15 years, we're gonna have 30% increase in our rates. And I was just curious if that has been true over time, that the rates have gone up that much in that amount of time.
Typically, our rates do go up, or we have a schedule in all the options that we purchase into. There is a clause in there to increase. 2% is actually a pretty fair annual increase. I don't know, Paul, what do you?
I think that the point I would make is that if you look at the overall portfolio for the city, and again, I don't know if these presentations were available to you or not, but in this case, the city uses roughly about 130,000 megawatt hours per year, and these two projects would be on an annual basis, roughly 30,000 megawatt hours per year. So it's a fairly small percentage of your overall power supply cost. So from a cost average perspective, it's on the wholesale side, it's relatively would not affect the wholesale rates, because without these projects, we would be exposed to the market, which is also at these levels that these projects are currently, or these pricing for these PPAs are currently at.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate this. Would you recommend this if it wasn't mandated by the state?
Yes.
You would? You think that this is a really viable long-term source of alternative power?
Well, it's 15 years, so it's relative in the power supply world. It's not, I wouldn't consider it long-term. It's a hedge, and it provides diversification to the city's portfolio that allows for, for example, the city's got a fair amount of the Fremont Energy facility, which is a natural gas unit. So the rates there are significantly impacted by the cost of natural gas. So if natural gas goes up, then the wholesale rate from that unit goes up. So with the diversification of the resources, it provides a hedge to some of that fuel risk that you would otherwise may be exposed to.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Thank you, Mayor. the city's total capacity is 130,000 megawatt hours a year?
Roughly,
And this project, these two projects are 30,000?
roughly.
Isn't that more than 20% of the total? That seems fairly large.
Well, it's, yeah, and again, I don't know these power supply graph stacks that we provide, shows it, and again, this is on an annual basis, so the context of this is over 12 months, not on a monthly basis. So for example, the solar would not provide much energy in wintertime. That's where the energy is, you're gonna get the most during the summertime when costs are high. So from an overall portfolio perspective, it leaves the city with roughly, and again, these are based on forecast, low growth, we don't have any low growth factored in here, it's zero. But it leaves the city exposed to around, again, 10%, or 10,000 megawatt hours of exposure to the market. Without that, you're roughly, 80,000 to, so you're about 50,000 megawatt hours exposed to the market.
Okay.
So
it's 40,000 then? Sorry, what's the difference between the exposure and the 30,000 that this is adding?
yeah, so the current power supply needs of the city is 130,000.
Right.
With your current assets, you have roughly 80,000 megawatt hours. Okay, so 50,000 megawatt hours is the difference. The two of these make up roughly, and again, I'm eyeballing this off of a graph now, so these are, it's roughly, 80 to 110. Okay, so 30,000 megawatt hours. So that leaves about 20,000
Okay.
exposed to the market.
Okay, that 10,000 was throwing me off. Okay, thank you. So the total, it's 6850, that is locked in only for a year. There's 2% on the thermal project. The $80 for solar is locked in for 20 years.
15, or 20, yeah, excuse me. 20.
Contracts through 20.
Yeah, 20.
So the solar will actually cost less long-term than the thermal.
Yes. Well, on a cost average basis, it's about the same.
Oh, right, because you're paying less, I see,
Right.
okay. So what is our, did we get an answer, what is our current per megawatt hour average for, I don't know, the last year, the last 6 months? On the open market?
On the market?
Or maybe with our own projects that we've entered into as well, factored in?
Yes, so on our energy, on our bill we receive every month.
You're not on, Mr. Mackey, thank you.
On our bill we receive every month, we're about 8 cents, I always get confused with the numbers.
Yeah, it's $80. Again, I'm going off the top of my head, but $80 to $85 per megawatt hour is the wholesale.
Yes, and we sell to our our customers, for about 13 cents or $130, which is substantially less than consumers.
20,
Yeah.
$200 megawatt hour, 20 cents kilowatt hour, consumer rate.
Oh, okay, so the markup is that large?
Consumers.
60% markup for ours and more than double for consumers?
That's on the retail, retail side, yeah.
And then I was a bit confused about the renewable energy. Are we, with these projects, are we getting closer to that goal? Because you said the thermal is not included, but we can have a workaround with Ohio.
Right.
I thought earlier we heard that thermal was part of the state's slate of options for the green energy credits.
So that currently is not part of the state's allowable resources, but there are numbers that a number of folks feel that it should be, because it is green, and we have lobbyists through our 8 associations that feel that we we should take that up with the state and get them to include it.
Yes, definitely. This, of all the types of energy, that's the one I would like to see the most of. So in terms of where are we at now with our green energy credits for meeting that goal? What percentage?
So we are at 18%.
18%. And what would this bring us to?
I don't know the exact percentage, but one thing I will correct. Actually, the 30, unless it's been changed, Paul, we have to be at 50%. Did it come down?
I think it's probably 50, like I said, I'm going off.
By 2040, 50%.
It's 50% in 2030, and then it goes up to 60. I looked earlier today. That's one reason I know. 60% at 2035, and then 100% according to the current state requirements. 100% in 2040. We're at 18%.
And do you know what the average is for the main consumers, DT, versus municipalities as a whole? Or where do we fall in that?
No, I don't know where we fall, but in between, you said where consumers is to where we are?
Yeah, and just other municipally owned utilities, what percentage are they at? Is there an average that places are on pace at right now?
Well,
I just know our members, and they're all within the 15 to 20% range based on, again, the current resources with the hydro projects that they participate through Ampion, and then other resources that we have.
So we're right in that.
Right there where typical AMP members are.
Does your organization think that the 2030 goals can be met?
Yes. And that's part of the strategy behind this, and that's, again, there's some complexities around those requirements. There's, the RECs they have a 5-year shelf life. So a REC generated today still qualifies for the requirements in 2030. So what that allows you to do is to be able to, if you have excess RECs currently, you're able to build those up to meet those future needs. And that's what we have worked through with this strategy and with the filing that's done with the state, is to work through that process to make sure that, one, to the gentleman's point over here, if the rules change, we don't have too many resources in place that we otherwise wouldn't need if the rules change on requirements. But at the same time, give us an off-ramp to be able to procure the RECs in a manner that's most cost-effective. Some of that is through projects like this. We also had the ability to just go out and purchase the renewable energy credits without any other power supply attributes related to it.
I see. So this will most likely have to be done with purchasing rather than...
That's the plan. It's the majority of it's going to be through purchase.
Okay, and then on the 18%, did you have a ballpark of how much this increases it to?
I do not know that off the top of my head.
I can get that too. It's, again, we factored these, we factored the need for the RECs into the plan. Whether it comes from a resource like this or not, we purchase them, they're on track. We're on track to meet the requirements. The first requirement of the new statute, first filing would happen this year, which is the 15%, which has been what we had been at for a number of years. And then this project, along with the other purchasing strategies, then would start to leg up into the higher requirements.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Flynn.
Paul, are there penalties if we don't get up to that 20%?
There's not a direct financial penalty. The way the legislation is drafted is that it would come through a judicial proceeding that a customer of the utility would file through the state, would ultimately come back through the Attorney General's office through a judicial proceeding.
Oh, thank you.
Council discussion, questions for Paul? Councilman Soha.
Forgive me for making this go on, but I fully expect this to pass, but on principle, I don't know. I don't like being forced by the state to do this. I don't like their hands in our cookie jar at this level. It just really frustrates me, and I despise these solar farms that have taken up our tillable land. I don't understand why we think that's so important. It's ugly and inefficient. You know, tornado, hailstorm, something could very easily just destroy them, and then what? You know. So it happened down in Texas at an enormous scale. California just shut down a solar farm that destroyed the desert. If you drive from Phoenix to LA now through the desert, there's a whole solar farm on hundreds and hundreds of acres that's turned off. I hate this. With all my heart, I hate it.
Councilman Bentley.
I again agree with Councilman Soha, and I will be voting no on the solar park for sure. And any other thing that has solar in it, no.
Councilman Flynn.
I would make a motion that we approve the Tall Grass Energy Project. So we have to do these one at a time, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so I make a motion that we approve the Tall Grass Energy Project.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Councilman Morrissey. So there's a councilman for a motion to approve the tall grass by Councilman Flynn and also by Councilman Morrissey, a second. Any more discussions? Councilman Soha.
Mr. Mackey, would we be entertaining this if we weren't required to, this tall grass one?
Yes. Any more council discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price?
Yes, Councilmember Palladino,
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilmember Bentley,
Yes.
Bruns,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuchel,
Yes.
and Wolfram.
Yes.
It's 9-0 approved, resolution 3657.
All right, may I have may I entertain a motion to approve the Kearsarge Solar Power Purchase Agreement in the associated emergency schedule and the MSCP supplemental agreement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Support, all right. I have a motion by Councilman Flynn, supported by Councilman Stuchel. May I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price?
Yes, Mayor Sessions,
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley,
No.
Bruns,
No.
Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Soha,
No.
Stuchel,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Palladino,
No.
5-4, that's approved.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into appointments. For the Housing Commission, Candy Emerson, Tifa Board, Felicia Ray Finch, and the Tifa Board, Chris Sumner. We can do these individually or all at one time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I do want to mention that I bumped into Mr. Sumnar on the way in, he was on the way out. He apologizes for not being here this evening, but as on his application, he is a member of the Hillsdale School Board, and they're meeting tonight as well. So he's at the school board meeting, but he apologizes for not being able to be here for any questions anybody might have.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilman Bentley.
I suggest we do these individually, and I move to accept Mr. Sumner's appointment to TIFA.
Support. Okay, all right, okay, so we'll do, to Mr. Sumner's, all right, so we have a motion to approve, by Councilman Bentley and supported by Councilman Morrissey. May I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price?
Yes. Councilperson Bentley?
Yes.
Bruns?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Morrissey?
Yes.
Soha?
Yes.
Stuchel?
Yes.
Wolfram?
Yes.
Palladino?
Yes.
And Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
That's 9-0, it's approved.
All right, now we will go into the appointment of Housing Commission, Cammy Emerson. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a support? Okay, Councilman Soha. Okay, so I have a motion by Councilman Flynn and a second by Councilman Soha to approve Housing Commission, Cammy Emerson. I'm gonna have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price.
Yes.
Discussion.
Oh, you need discussion? Sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out that, her application said Brooklyn, Michigan, and while, out of the city is one thing, I think if you own a business, I would like to see, at least our boards and committees be filled by county residents.
Okay. City Manager Mackey.
So on this particular, on the Housing Commission, this is actually a city manager appointment by charter. That being said, the Housing Commission Director brought Cammy forward. As you can see in the bio, we had looked for, trying to find a candidate. For a while, this is the replacement of Dennis Wainscott, who passed away. So that being said, I did look at the fact that she was from Brooklyn, but I looked at what she does as an agent, for her employment with the Wellwise Service Agency on Aging, and the Community Transition Services Program, and feel that, her experience there would lend well to the Housing Commission as they deal, with our housing project is for lower income folks who she works with on a daily basis. That's why I selected her.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mackey, did you say that Amy recommended her?
Yes.
So she runs the Hillsdale Housing Commission Apartments, and I trust her judgment, just if that helps.
I have no reason to doubt her judgment, just, I think we are a city, we have, certain privileges that come with city residents, and I think one of those is spending money that comes to the city.
Thank you. Councilman Sola.
And also just for informational purposes, I know that they've had open seats for extended periods of time in this particular committee, and it's finding the people to serve. I don't know, having a woman willing to serve seems, even though she's from Brooklyn, it's a good point.
Okay, any more council discussion? Councilman Morrissey.
Yeah, I agree in principle with Councilman Pro Tem Bentley, but if it's a practical matter, if we can't find anybody, then I guess we should do it.
Okay, any more council discussion? Seeing none, do I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Flynn, supported by Councilman Soha? May I have a roll call vote, City Clerk Price?
Yes. Councilperson Bruns?
No.
Flynn?
Yes.
Morrissey?
Yes.
Soha?
Yes.
Stuchel?
Yes.
Wolfram?
Yes.
Palladino?
No.
Was it Mayor Sessions?
Yes.
And Councilperson Bentley?
No.
5-4, it's approved.
All right, thank you. Next is the last appointment to the
6:30.
6:30.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, last appointment is to the Civil Board. Oh, Councilman.
I just wanted to make sure she was caught up.
Okay.
I had 5-4.
Bentley runs me.
Bentley, Bruns, Palladino. Six, 3 for, yes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, excuse me.
All right, last appointment is for the Tifa Board, it's for Felicia Ray Finch. Is there any council discussion? Councilman, or Mayor Pro Tem, or Paladino.
Thank you. Again, not a city resident, but she owns a business. I would ask if you could maybe see if you could find someone from the residential areas in the Tifa district for future appointments.
Okay. Councilman Stuccio.
Yeah, I'll just say a little thing about Felicia. She has said it if I said it over there. She's also part of the beautification committee. I mean, she's out there in the cold, putting up Christmas decorations, make things look good. I mean, she may live outside the city, but she very much loves this city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council discussion. May I entertain a motion for Felicia Ray Finch to be on the Tifa Board? So I got it. All right, I got it. Councilman Soha, supported by Councilman Stuccio. Any more council discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call vote? City Clerk Price.
Yes, Councilmember Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey,
Yes.
Soha,
Yes.
Stuccio,
Yes.
Wolfram,
Yes.
Palladino,
Yes.
Mayor Sessions.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley,
Yes.
and Bruns.
Yes.
It's 9-0, it's approved.
All right, thank you. All right, now we will move into public or general public comment on anything. Podium's open for 3 minutes each, and please state your name and your address. Yes, okay.
Jack McLean, 1445 South Plum Road. These are kind of quotes, I guess, from the collegiate about the election. It talks about groups. One of the mayoral candidates talks about groups and about his groups, and I think people shouldn't be talking or voting in groups. They should be on what the people want. It's got nothing to do with your little group or whatever you want to call it. And in this, it says that they're going to start campaigning, of course, in January. It looks like everybody on council, there's going to be a lot of empty seats. They're planning on filling all those seats. So then when you're seeing a vote like tonight, it's got nothing to do with the people in the city. It's got to do with our little group, and we're all going to vote the same. And I don't know if you guys see it, but it's just not representing the people of the city. It's representing people, personal issues, and that's not how a public person representative should be of the people in the city. And one thing, and this is nothing against Mr. Soha, but there was a meeting and he spoke about someone almost getting hit on the street here, or where he almost hit someone when they opened their door. And then someone in the audience had 15 people from his ward that had said, we don't want that. Well, 15 people is not any percent of his ward, but it did change his vote, and I don't think that's right. If you're gonna represent the people, not a very small minority of the people. And it kind of reminds me of history and a couple famous people well, I'm not gonna say famous, a couple well-known names in Europe during the 30s and the 40s and what they tried to do. And of course it didn't work out. One of them, of course, he was in Germany, and the other one was in Italy, and but that never worked out. Thank God for us and everybody else involved, but it shouldn't be, it's like Republican Democrats. No, it's the people. The people need to work together. You all need to get along. You all need to support the people that are paying the taxes in the city. It should have nothing to do with your personal agenda whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more, general public comment? Seeing now, we'll close the podium and we'll go into the city manager's report.
Mayor, I am going to pass on the report tonight. I'll just take questions from council if there are any.
Okay, are there any questions for city manager Mackey? No, seeing none, okay. Seeing none, I'll go into council comment. Councilman Soto, Councilman Morrissey.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank both of the mayoral candidates this year for standing up and running for mayor. Both of you got ripped at quite a bit during this long campaign, and you both took the heat. So I appreciate both of you for doing that. Not everybody is capable or willing to do that, and so I think you deserve some credit, both of you, for doing that. The other thing is, as I discussed with Mayor Pro Tem Palladino before the meeting, this seat that I occupy is the traditional seat for the Mayor Pro Tem. I'm perfectly willing to give it up. I used to be in Councilman Bentley's seat. In fact, Mayor Sessions was the mayor in those days. I took the seat replacing Pat Flannery, who was the Mayor Pro Tem at that time. And if you can sit there or sit here, I defer to your judgment at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Morrissey. Any more council discussion? Councilman Soto.
It was said earlier today that nobody wants to pay for the roads, and I just wanted to remind council that there are at least 2 of us on this august body that did volunteer to pay for the roads. So.
Okay. Councilman Bentley.
Yes, I have a few things to say. Starting with Dr. Morrissey, thank you for your kind words. It was a long and sometimes rough election, and I would like to congratulate you, Mayor, for your win. But I would also like to note that you wouldn't meet me in a public forum, so forgive me if I bring it up here for the first and last time. You ran on negativity and chain of command. Can you say a few words about the chain of command, please?
Sure.
If you like.
Yes. I have a new email. It's mayor_Scott_Sessions at yahoo.com, and I would like the council to email me and go through me, and also copy City Manager Mackey and include him in the emails to go through both of us, and that's where I'd like to go. The council to go through me and the city manager. Yep, it's mayor_Scott_Sessions at yahoo.com. And that's where I'd like the chain of command to begin.
So, Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, I will not be following the chain of command. Generally, we all email each other to let us know what we're doing, and I don't know that any of us have ever stepped on City Manager Mackey's toes as far as he's the executive, he's the boss of his staff. So that's not the issue. And as far as the negativity, well, first let me thank and congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Palladino for filling in for Mr. Stockford for the year. He did a fine job, and he would have done a fine job for another year, and we would have had gone through this election, and that would have been my preference. So thank you, Josh. But the negativity that's been spewed against us, Josh and me, I think in particular, as recently as 3 minutes ago from the podium, that we're fascists or something. And then your campaign was run on negativity. And I didn't get to answer those calls. I would suggest to the community at large and the media and the civic organizations that they expect, if not demand, that there are public forums where the mayoral candidates meet in face-to-face and have discussions, so that the people can make an informed decision instead of surrogates swinging negativity. I reject that there was negativity for the previous year under Mayor Pro Tem's tenure, and the whole narrative. I would challenge you rhetorically to name the 5 bodies that he or I caused. I reject all 5 of them as being caused by either one of us. The PPU guys in particular, who had no interaction with. I had no interaction with the engineer. And to begin it all with where the negativity started, I would just suggest, this will be the only time I use the chain of command, I would suggest you ask your city manager whose airport Steve is.
Thank you, Councilman Dudley, I appreciate that. I was down, Councilman Stuccio.
Just a small comment. I have 7 years old, seen a lot of campaigns in my life. I have never seen one that wasn't negative.
Yep. More council comments? No? I want to thank the people of Hillsdale for coming out and voting. I appreciate Councilman Morrissey saying that. I actually thank you for saying that, Councilman Donnelly. I was actually in the public every single Saturday for 3 hours, and I only saw you down there a couple times. You know, you could come see me. You know, there you go. But you didn't. So you know, and also the negativity came from the resignations of 5 different people from the city of Hillsdale. That's where the negativity came from. It was in the resignation statements. So that's all I put together. That's what I ran my campaign on, because there was negativity there. I'm sorry if you don't see that. I did. But thank you for running against me. I appreciate that. You know, and the campaign you ran. I appreciate that. And thank you all, everyone, you know, in the city of Hillsdale. You know, I love this community. I do. It's the best community I've been in my life. So thank you all. Yes.
The 5th resignation, there was no hint or mention of negativity. So at most you got 4, and I would quibble with each of the 4. As far as meeting at the farmer's market, yes, we did do that through the summer until the primary and the road diet business. When you were on road diet, when you were on site with the road diet, which, you know, maybe we'll revisit. But a public forum where we're held accountable for our words with cameras and the public, not just a discussion. We have had pleasant discussions, I'll grant you that. Every time I've seen you, we greet each other warmly. So that's not the issue. The issue is accountability and transparency for the voters.
I was there. I'm sorry. I was out there every Saturday, 3 hours. You know, I had made 28 appearances in public. So there I was. You know, I can count them, but that's enough. Okay? Yes. Councilman Flynn.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there a second? Second. All right, I got a motion by Councilman Flynn to end the meeting, and supported by Councilman Morrissey. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. No? Okay, let's have a roll call vote. City Clerk Price.
Morrissey?
Yes.
Soha?
No.
Stuchel?
Yes.
Wolfram?
Yes.
Palladino?
No.
Mayor Sessions?
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley?
To adjourn?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Bruns?
No.
Flynn?
Yes.